Hello, I'm Gary Siskar, Liquid Force Kiteboarding Brand Manager, and I'm here to introduce to you the Gisela Polito Pro Model Twin Tip Kiteboard. First off, we're really excited to have Gisela Polito on the Liquid Force team, 10-time Women's World Championship in freestyle kiteboarding. That is a feat that has yet to be eclipsed by anyone out there. One thing that Gisela knows really well is product. That's a dimension to Liquid Force. She brings to Liquid Force that a lot of our girls riders have brought to, but she's definitely next level in knowing exactly what she wants out of a kite and definitely what she wants out of a kiteboard. And that is why we embarked upon having her pro model enter the scene in the Liquid Force Twin Tip range. So what is really special about this board? Well, the first thing is it has gone through about 10 plus years of R&D by Gisela Polito. She has always rode a board that's been designed by her father, Wanma, and we pretty much packed everything that Gisela wanted in the board that her father has created over the past 10 plus years into this specific twin tip freestyle women's kiteboard machine. So what's really special about this? The first thing we want to talk about is the shape overall, because this has replaced the Aloha in our line, and it is quite different in terms of the shape and quite different in terms of the bottom contour and so forth on what's going on here. So let's talk about the specific outline. So this outline, what Gisela likes is a lot more straight up outline rather than a curvy outline. So if you look at it, the rails are fairly parallel overall with a slight taper when you start getting towards the tips. What does that do for you at the end of the day? Extremely good edge hold overall, great projection upwind. And then it also generates a lot of pop off the water. So whether you're riding in choppy conditions or extremely flat water conditions, the board is going to help generate pop off the water for those air style tricks, air transfers, and so forth. And that is all kind of encapsulated in this outline. Once we get to the tips, it does have a fairly unique tip shape where it has like an outline of the tip shape that's mimicking what the channels are doing in the bottom of the board through the tips. This does a couple things. The main thing it does is it decreases the amount of spray coming off the edge of the board, the tips of the board, and the spray that's every once in a while directed from the fins. When you catch a front fin on a piece of chop, sometimes you get spray in the face. This specific tip design absolutely reduces the ability for that spray to be redirected straight into your face. And we all know once you start getting that kind of spray in your face, it's very uncomfortable. This specific tip shape keeps that spray redirected so it doesn't hit you in the face. So that is the outline overall. The next thing let's talk about is the rocker line. So Gisela, being the freestyle expert she is, we did increase the rocker line from our past girl specific boards to a little bit higher rocker line. That helps obviously eat up the chop a fair bit, and that also generates pop off the water. As you have this higher rocker line, creates a different angle where the board releases out of the water when you're generating your pop for your jump, and that's what this rocker line does. So a little bit higher rocker line, nice and flat through the middle, continuous rocker, flips up in the tips, eats up the chop, generates a lot of pop. Let's go on to the bottom of the board. The bottom is very important. So again, Gisela had a very specific bottom shape that she was going for. She likes a nice kind of real edgy concave in the middle. This board actually utilizes a little bit higher center peak with two concaves toward the end. We use what's called our profiled core construction in this board. It actually was pretty difficult to make this happen in this board using that construction. We use that construction so we don't have to CNC the core. That makes the board more affordable, so we don't have as much time on a CNC machine. But to actually engineer this particular bottom shape in the board was a challenge for our designers, and they absolutely nailed it. So what we have is we have a stepped channeled rail on the side in the middle of the board that does a couple things. Redirects water along the base of the board so your upwind projection is really nice, smooths out the chop. Goes into a little bit of a concave to a peak. Again, what that does in terms of hole shape, it's directing that water flow down the base of the board and through the fins, so you get great projection overall and great release when you're doing your jumps. So that is between the feet. The other thing this does, it creates a little bit stiffer profile in between the foot section. So we all know Gisela, she's a really aggressive freestyle rider, and you don't want the board to do what's called have counter rockers. So when you land really hard off a hot trick, you don't want your board to bend and dip in the tips and actually pearl the tip. These channels on the side of the board not only creates that water flow, it also stiffens up that center section of the board to eliminate any negative rocker that would happen when you land really hard from your tricks. The next thing the board does, it goes right through into two nice channels out the tail and a slight concave. Again, that's for redirecting the water and the water flow so you don't get any skittery water out the back. It gives you great projection and great lift off the water. Also eats up the chop really well. Next thing you want to talk about is the width. So when you look at this board, it is a little bit narrower than a lot of the boards out there. Again, very specific to Gisela. She wanted something with a little bit narrower tips, a narrower waist. It's good for girls overall. What that does, it allows you to really sink that edge in on the board when you're edging upwind. Gives you a lot more precise edge control of the board. And also it's going to reduce the weight. You're just not having as much material going on in the board overall. The board is a sandwich construction. We use a sheet of biax and triax, bottom and top, to control the flex overall. Extremely lightweight with a full 100% Polina wood core. We couldn't be more excited about this collaborative design between Juanma, her father, Gisela, and Liquid Force Kiteboarding. Gals, you are going to be excited to ride this board.